can we just start? Om Gantimirandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakamatam Sha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shrimpadi Pasate Desacharine Vancha Kalpadruvesha Kripa Sindhuvesha Patitanam Pavane Vaishnavi नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरतसे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोप्स गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते सप्तकांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी भानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र अभ्रम जगन्नाथाय ते नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 Hare Krishna. So we'll be starting with chapter number 30. So that is what I was informed. And that is the description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruit. So in this chapter, verse number 1 to 18, they describe out how a materialist lives his life and how he dies. So his life and death is. So just yes. So how he lives and how he dies is given. So that's verse number 1 to 18. Some problem with technical problem. Let us see. So just give me a minute. Some problem, technical problem with me. And then verses number 19 to 34, they describe how it is destination and experiences after death. So they are something which are very interesting, and even sometimes devotees are very attracted to them. So we'll go through these verses. So life and death of a materialist. Somebody can read text number 1, 2, 3.
The personality of Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of time factor by which he is being carried. Text 2. Whatever is produced by materialistic with the great pain and labor for so-called happiness, the Supreme Personality as the time factor destroys, and for this reason the conditioned soul laments. Text 3. The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that The attraction of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to that body, are also temporary. And out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent.
Thank you. So similar verse like text one is spoken previously also in Bhagavatam. Somebody remembers the verse? I'll give the hint. It is in Bhishma Dev section.
Which verse, Prabhuji?
Like text number 1, there is also a verse in Bhishma Stuti.
इति मति रूप कल्पिता वितृष्णा भगवत सांगत्य में.
Okay, there's one more. One more is there. When he tries to convince Yudhishthira Maharaj, he talks about power of time.
अहो कष्टम अहो अन्यायम.
Okay, no. There is one more. Sarvam kal kritam manne bhavata tayat apriyam sapale yad vasilo ko bhayo vev ghanavali. So he gives a similar analogy there also. That definitely maybe these miseries are because of time factor, because the way a wind carries away a small cloud. Similarly, we helplessly are carried away by this time factor. So this time factor is very powerful. We try to make things in this world as if they are permanent, but then time factor is so powerful that everything is taken away in due course of time. So people work so hard, and it's like no certain things are like they're dreams. I want to make a big bungalow, that is like my dream of my life. But problem is we can't eternally stay in that bungalow. And sometimes by the time people fulfill that dream, they are not fit enough to enjoy that dream. Sometimes practically it takes whole life for a person to make some very big palatial building. And by the time he makes that building, he becomes so old that he just takes medicines in that building. So that is the plight of this world. And that is the reason one should always remember that this world is temporary place. And there is a verse, famous verse by Chanak Pandit, which Prabhupada quotes many times. Tat durjan satsarjam bhaja sadhu samagamam kit panna ahoratram smar nityam anityatam. What he says? Tat durjan sansarjam. Give up the association of wicked people or materialistic people. Bhaja sadhu samagamam. Always remember or always take association of great saintly persons. Krit punna ahotratram. And keep on performing various spiritual activities. And smar nitya anityatam. Always remember that this world is a temporary place. So then what we have to do is do the needful. Do the needful to survive, do our duties properly, and focus on progress and spiritual. So that's exactly what is written here. So people take a great effort to create a kingdom, and then they are not fit to enjoy that kingdom. People work so hard to enjoy the life after retirement, and that is why people work and earn a lot of money during their period of work. But then in the old days, they are not fit enough to enjoy the money. Please read 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Text 4. The living entity in whatever species of life he appears finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition. Text 5. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in its own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment.
This verse you can repeat after me. Atmajaya sutagara Vasudramana bandhusu Niruna mula hridaya Atmanam bahumanyate.
Atmanam.
Read it, translation and the purport.
Such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect. The so-called perfection of human life is a construction. Therefore, it is said that the materialist, however materially qualified he may be, is worthless because he is hovering on the mountain of love, which will drag him again to the material existence of temporary life. One who acts on the material plane cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to drive down again to material life. The association of so-called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied.
Thank you. So in these 3 verses, he speaks like a very remarkable thing. The text number 5. Even if a person is in hell, he tries to enjoy hellish enjoyment. Now, what type of hellish enjoyments can be there? It's like now, if one goes in hell, then sometimes a person is cut like a sabji, fried like a puri, and continuously there are so many sufferings. But whenever there is a little break in that, little bit break is there, that is considered as enjoyment. But similarly, we find in this world also, people are harassed by so many difficulties, and one can take out some time away from that miseries. One thinks I am very, very satisfied. It's like now one is in a scorching heat, and then for some time one gets the shade of a tree or an AC room, and person thinks, no, this is perfection of life. So in this world, pleasures are actually absence of misery, and that is true even with sense gratification. So what happens is, whenever senses they see a sense object, senses become agitated, and that nature of getting agitated or the status of agitation is actually suffering. And when senses come in contact with sense objects, for some time there is release from that suffering, and that release from the suffering is called enjoyment in this. For example, one has great craving for eating gulab jamun, and then as soon as gulab jamun comes and touches the tongue, it is absence of misery, and that one considers as great pleasure. And in due course of time, what happens is senses become agitated again, and that is how this world is like a place where people are ready to accept even hellish enjoyment. Like if you find, I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but sometimes some people are there, they have a quite a reasonably good life in villages. But when people go to metro cities, sometimes they live in such hellish places. It's like now one is staying near a crossroad where continuously there are horns, sound of horns, so much pollution is there. Sometimes gutters are nearby, so many mosquitoes are there. But then just because this person gets the satisfaction of staying in a metro city and getting a satisfaction of being a person of metro city, person stays in such hellish situations. What is that famous story in which Prabhupada speaks about Indra, example of Indra, where he was not ready to give up a hellish situation? Somebody remember that story? Yes, Gita Krishna Prabhu.
Due to the curse, he became a hog, I think.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
He didn't want to leave that place. He was happy there.
Yeah, so Brahmaji was worried, there is no Indra. He told Indra, come back. And Indra was, how can I give back? You know, I'm the king of the hogs. I have nice beautiful wife, no, you know, like making sound, and I have nice piglets. How can I leave them all? Brahmaji took his chakra and killed all the little piglets and said, leave now. He was crying and sobbing, how can I leave? How can I leave? Then he killed the wife also. Still he was not leaving. Then finally he had to kill that Indra, so that no, he'll come back to his place. So similarly here also, we sometimes live in such a hellish situation, but then person is not ready to give up that situation. Yes, sir. Rukmini Harisivani Mataji, you have a question? Rukmini Mataji, you have a question?
She is not connected in voice actually.
Oh.
She is not not having question, but she is having the story related comment.
Acha. Okay. Okay. She wrote also big story. Thank you. And the biggest curse which Prabhupada writes is that we have some lower standard of living. A person becomes so much satisfied in those situations that one is not ready to come out of it. So again, we can have a lot of pastime. We don't have much time. You may be remembering the pastime of or story of Praharena Dhananjay, where there was. You remember the story of Praharena Dhananjay by Bhakti Saraswati? Okay, then maybe I have to tell the story. So what happens is, in olden Bengal, especially in those days, around 200, 300 years ago, you can say there was a misinterpreted custom. And the custom was, sometimes very young girls were married to very old men. And people would also have a lot of wives. And the real reason was, if you have a lot of wives, then you can enjoy in the houses of different wives. You don't have to work. So it's like now, if you have 12 wives, then no, you stay in the one wife's house for one month. And because he's son-in-law, he can nicely enjoy it. Similarly, in one father's house, where he had 4 daughters, so their 4 husbands were there. And one of them was Dhananjay. So 1 month passed and these fellows were not going away. So he was really frustrated. He thought, now what to do? So what he did is, he stopped putting salt in dal. And one of the persons understood that now we are getting not respect but disrespect. So one fellow went away. 3 were still there. So then the second month, what he did? He started putting hardly any dal, and it was only practically water. And then again the second one went away. Still 2 of them were there. And third month there was no dal only. Dhananjay was saying, no problem, I will adjust with chapati and water. And then the 4th month, he he stopped dal altogether, only water was there. So even 3rd person went away, but this Dhananjay was determined, I will not go away. I will stay here only. So then what father-in-law did, he took one blanket, he came in the night time, he kept on the body of Dhananjay and he bet him black and blue. And then Dhananjay ran away. So that's called Praharena Dhananjay. So Bhakti Saraswati would speak this pastime to say that the nature of people in this world is that one suffering, I will adjust. Second suffering, I will adjust. Third suffering, I will adjust. So they keep on tolerating the suffering, but they don't understand that the suffering is given so that Praharena, you have to run away from this place and go back to God. So that is the purpose, or that is the reason why Maya Devi gives so much suffering that people don't understand. So same thing here. So when person becomes satisfied in so-called cozy life, one doesn't feel a need of spiritual. Please read 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Text 7. Although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled. in order to maintain his so-called family and society. Text 8. He gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embraces and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of the small children. Text 9.
Maybe you can repeat this verse after. Grehesu kuta dharmesu
Greshu kuta dharmeshu
yuktandresu atandritaha
dukha tantreshu atantrita
kurvan dukkha pratikaram
purvan dukha pratikaram
sukhvan mannate grahi.
sukhvan mannate grahi.
This is the translation.
Translation. The attached household remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries, and if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. Purpose. In Bhagavad Gita, the personality of God had himself certified the material world as an impermanent place that is full of miseries. There is no question of happiness in this material world, either individually or in terms of family, society, or country. If something is going on in the name of happiness, that is also illusion. Here in this material world, happiness means successful counteraction to the effects of distress. The material world is so made that unless one becomes a clever diplomat, his life will be a failure. Not to speak of human society, even the society of lower animals, the birds and bees, cleverly manages its bodily demands of eating, sleeping, and mating. Human society competes nationally or individually, and in the attempt to be successful, the entire human society becomes full of diplomacy. We should always remember that in spite of all diplomacy and all intelligence in the struggle for our existence, everything will end in a second by the supreme will. Therefore, all our attempts to become happy in this material world are simply a delusion offered by Maya.
Very strong verses, but these verses, if we see them from the absolute perspective, then they'll become very, very meaningful. So what happens in this world is many times our devotees feel that there are miseries, but outsiders feels there is no misery. So I remember one devotee was telling his own story that in his temple, in one of the islands of US, so people had so much of pleasure that practically speaking, they didn't feel any misery. So you lie down in the sea beach and the air carries some droplets of water and touches your body. And then devotees distribute Bhagavad Gita saying that there are so many miseries in this world. And people say the only person miserable in this island is all of you. And somehow devotees become convinced and they join them. So the problem is that unless until one understands or realizes that absolute happiness, one can't understand how this world is a place of. So that is the whole point. For example, why do we keep fan or AC in our room? Anybody can just unmute and speak.
To reduce the effect of hotness or something.
Yeah, to counteract the misery of extreme heat. Why do we carry umbrella or raincoat in the rainy season?
To escape from rain. So,
Yeah, to escape from the misery of being wet and getting rain. Why do people have put so much of makeup? Yeah, Lakshmi Mataji, maybe she'll be able to tell.
Look beautiful and to to escape from the misery of look ugly or the comment of people.
So to escape the misery of not looking beautiful, so that people keep on appreciating me, people do makeup. So that is the whole thing. Similarly, why do we cook very palatable dishes? Anybody can just unmute and speak.
To counteract the effect of unpalatable disease, we can say.
Yeah, unpalatable and hunger also. Hunger, misery, unpalatable disease. So that's why you will see many times some people are very frustrated in life. They eat excess. So eat nicely and sleep nicely. Try to just forget the extreme misery. So that's why we'll find in every pleasure. Similarly, why we people see so much of cinemas and other things to counteract the misery of boredom, not to get bored. So the whole world is Purvan Dukha Pratikaram. So that is the whole point. This verse, this word. Purvan Dukha Pratikaram. We are doing the pratikar or counteraction of Dukha. And if one can counteract successfully all the miseries of this world, Sukhvan Mannate Grahi. Person thinks I have perfect in this. So that is how whole world is just trying to counteract the miseries of this. And then I told similarly the pleasures. It's like man may be working very hard, but if we hear the small broken words of children, all miseries go away. Especially for men, the Maya is women, and for women, the Maya is small children. So practically speaking, the small children are the one who are least productive people in the house, but they get the greatest affection. Why? Because their broken words are the most charming thing in the whole world, whole of the house. So that is how this Lord has created this Maya in such a way that one starts seeking satisfaction in small, small things. Now, we don't have to become like irresponsible. We have to be responsible. At the same time, we have to understand that there is a source of permanent and absolute happiness. So that is what Bhagavatam is focusing. So now, please read 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Text 10. He secure money by committing violence here and there, and although he employ it in the service of his family, he himself eat only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way. Text 11. When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself, but when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. Text 12. Thus, the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, in bereft of all beauty, he always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply.
Thank you. So these verses, 3 verses, talk about the gross realities of this world in the sense that practically speaking, when a person has to maintain himself, one doesn't accumulate too many things. It's like now, if we really want to see the difference, go and see a boys' hostel room and see a family mansion. So gulf of difference is there. So many amenities are there in the house of a family man. It's like here I'm staying in my house now. It's like 3 people in 3 floors. Big house is there. Just behind me, this full of walls full of cupboards everywhere. So much of things are there. So the whole thing is that a person works so hard and accumulates so many things for the purpose of seeing that his family members are happy. Because actually speaking, soul has that nature to serve. That nature to serve is there. So for himself, person may not work very hard, but when it comes to serve someone, it's like person works so hard. Only thing is, it's like a misdirected effort. So we have to do beautifully things in this world and direct our efforts in pleasing Krishna. So then what happens? Person works so hard, and if one is not able to get the desired things, one uses some illegal means also. And sometimes at a risk where he knows he will be severely punished if he is caught. So it's like now, I know so many businessmen in Calcutta. They know we will be caught by the ID department, income tax or sale tax department. So still they hide their wealth. And some people, they are so accustomed to it that they know that every 4 years or 5th year our number will come. These people will come, they'll put a raid, and I'll get a good amount of defamation. My name will be there in the newspapers, and then I'll accept that misery, which will be there for 6 months, 7 months, and then I'll continue with my work again. So that is how person takes so many miseries just to please the family members. And sometimes it may not be needed also by them. It's more of a mental concoction, just to maintain that prestige. Please read 13, 14, 15. Now it's more about old age which will come.
Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen. Text 14. The foolish family man does not become averse to the family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. And deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Thus, he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligent given to him. Afflicted with many illness such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore.
Thank you. So these are like miseries of old age. So in old age, what happens is person cannot earn money, and generally it is seen. It's like my observation, which, and there can be some other exceptions also, but generally what I have seen in among my relatives and other family members, that as soon as wife gets the son who can earn the money, then the respect of the husband goes down. Actually, I don't know how much I am right, but that is my general observation. And whatever husband has spoken when he was like young and could earn a lot of money, and now wife was the only one who was dependent on him. So then whatever was there, and whatever you can say atrocities or something his parents had done with the wife, so everything comes in return along with interest. Then the wife starts shouting, what is this nonsense? This is how your father treated me. This is how your mother treated me. And the man is bewildered. What happened? The tone has changed. So what has happened is now you are no more the bread earner of the family. Son has come with the bread earner of the family. So whatever you are giving to her, now you will get along with interest. Things change over a period of time. And especially for the people who are respected, disrespect is worse than death. So I personally know, because many of my family members were politicians and IAS officers. So I happened to go to IAS officers colony just a few months back. All these fellows are the most miserable people of the life. Because as soon as one gets retired, the people who are running behind you don't even look at you. But they know this person is no more in power, he cannot do anything. And sometimes even the family members, their tone changes. So I know one of my father's friend. So he was such a big man in the government that government would give him helicopter. So he was such a big man in the government that government would give him helicopters for survey. He was like a top man in the state. But as soon as he got retired, so then he came to the temple, and in the temple I was serving them prasad. And then the auntie was telling that, no, now you have a retired man, you should do some social service. So begin from home. Take my plate and go and wash and bring it back. And it was like for him, he was such a big man and so many servants were around him. So he was like so disgusted. And then he was telling, no, no, we will wash our own plates. So the point is, like, as soon as the old age comes, for materialist people, it is the greatest suffering. And for devotees, it is a great boon. Why it is a great boon for devotees? Because they realize the aspect which they have learned from the scriptures. So Jananavas Prabhu was sharing one of his realization, seeing the departure of so many Prabhupada disciples in Mayapur. So he was telling last few weeks or few months before departure, devotees make very rapid advancement in spiritual life. And the reason is they realize that they are not controllers. It's like when we have bodies full of energies, we don't realize that how things are in control and they will not remain in control. But in old age, what happens is, for example, one old man, he was eating an apple and then he lost his tooth in the apple. So he was searching for the tooth in the apple. Oh, where is my teeth gone? In the young age, we can't even imagine something can happen like that. So we just take an apple, we take a bite, and that's all. We enjoy the apple. But in old age, it's like we have to be concerned whether my teeth are intact, whether my bones are intact. Bhavanand Prabhu, he was like one of the pioneer who made the whole Mayapur. So he was telling that earlier in our young age, as soon as we would get up from the bed, quickly take shower, run for Mangalarti. And he's saying now when I get up, I see whether all my bones are there on the place or not. So it takes time. It takes time to go to Mangalarti. So we realize that we are dependent on Krishna for everything. So these are the actual miseries which happen in the old age. And now these are miseries which come when person is very, very near to death. Of course, we have a Vedic solution for old age as well as Bhakti solution for old age. So what is the Vedic solution for old age? If person is getting disrespected in the family, etc., what is recommended for the person?
One prastha.
Yeah, one prastha. Person who goes to one prastha, he will not lose his respect and he will get spiritual experiences also. So there's something personally we have seen. So that was a Vedic culture within India. I still remember when I was in class 6th or 7th. So all the family members, we gathered together, even many relatives, and we went to one house where there were 3 one prasthas. It's like 50 plus. And they were going for Tirth Yatra. So all the family members came and they were giving like, no, give this donation at this place, give that donation in that place, do this service in that place on my behalf. And some family members were crying also. So I was telling that, no, why they are crying? You were saying it's a custom to cry. And the reason is, earlier days, the Tirth Yatra was so austere that sometimes there was a possibility person may not return. Especially one goes to Badrinath, Kedarnath, there is a landslide, a person may die. Some animals may come and consume, wild animals. And also some people would get so much self-realization that they would stay back in the holy places and continue their bhajan. So the old age, both for husband and wife, was meant for spiritual emancipation. Go to the holy places, hear from the sadhus, and then time to time come to house, and then you can give your valuable advice which will be heard by the family members. When you keep on staying in the home and not work for especially spiritual life, then family members also, they say this fellow is so attached and he's so materialist. They don't respect. But when a person is spiritually inclined, then one gets respect. Now for devotees, what is recommended? Yes, Gita Krishna. What do devotees generally do? Prabhu will speak with realization. Some suggestions by you?
Devotees spend most of the time, in studying, reading shastras, and preaching the holy name, and distributing books.
Yes, thank you. So devotees retire from material life, but that doesn't mean we retire from spiritual life. They increase their spiritual commitments. So they spend most of the time in reading scriptures, preaching, doing deity worship. No, and because they have experience and they are spiritually advanced, they are like considered a gem for the society. So a devotee, as he becomes older, his value increases, especially after retirement. And for materialist people, as they become older, beyond a level, when they become invalid to earn money, they become useless for the society. So a devotee becomes more valuable and materialistic people become less valuable. So these verses are more about people who are materialists, who are very attached to this world, and that is how this. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Please read 16, 17, 18. It's more near to death experiences.
That text 16, in that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like Vaibhava, a rattling within the throat. Text 17. In this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down, surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. And although he wants to speak with them, no longer can because he is under the control of time. Text 18. Thus the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great relief, seeing his relatives crying. He dies most pathetically, in great pain and without consciousness.
Thank you. So this is something which I personally saw when I was near to my grandfather who was like departing. So I kept a Prabhupada tape near his ears. But we saw that because he got a brain stroke. So whole life he was healthy till 87. He had all teeth intact and now he can even break a beetle nut by teeth. So strong. Carry now 30, 40 kgs and run. But when he got a brain stroke, then in the hospital we saw it's like he lost his voice. He couldn't speak. So then he was having difficulty of breathing, and every few minutes, 15, 20 minutes, a doctor would come, take a lot of cotton, rotate near his throat, and remove the mucus so that he can get some relief. Breathe. So there's a rattling because of excess of mucus or excess of acid is there, then body starts burning. Excess of air is there, then eyes bulge out. A lot of pressure is there inside. And then person wants to relate with the relatives, he can't speak, he can't express himself. Even my grandfather, I remember, it's like, no, he had urge to pass stool, but he was not like able to speak only to the relatives. So he was like indicating, and people were not able to understand. The similar way, what happens with a small child. So same thing was happening with him also. And then daughters were coming, and he wanted to give them some money. He was not able to communicate to anyone. So in this way, life becomes so miserable. First thing is there is fear of death. Body is not cooperating, and one is not even able to express himself or to say anything else. That is how person in his old age becomes very miserable. And a person who has not controlled his senses, he dies among the crying relatives with great pain. But we see something different in case of devotees. So I still remember there was a devotee called Grahila Prabhu. She was a Prabhupada disciple, and he is the one who has written index. We see behind Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam there is an index. So many years back when he was departing, so two brahmacharis from our temple, so they went into Mayapur, and they were like, in last days they were like massaging his feet. And then he was asking, who are they? And all over the room, there were like Krishna's pictures there, everywhere. So we were looking at them. And the day of his departure in that morning, he was narrating to Jannevaspu what pastimes Krishna is performing right now in the Golok. Krishna is going here with the cowherd friends, and he's doing this and he's doing that, and Jannevaspu are like, no, relishing. And all the devotees who were there nearby, so they were doing kirtans. And when the last moment came and he was about to depart, so his wife came and kept Radha Madhav in front of him. He was staring at Radha Madhav, departed from this world. And as soon as he departed, kirtans became so loud that wife and children were dancing. Now, any cultured Indian sees that father has departed and the son is dancing, or the husband has departed and wife is dancing, they will become bewildered. And then they were shouting, no, back home back to Godhead, back home back to Godhead, back home back to Godhead. And it's like, it was such a celebration. So for a devotees, death is such a celebration, because they are going to now engage eternally in Krishna service. But for outside people for whom sense gratification is goal of life, it's a great. So that is what Sukdev Goswami is narrating. So after death, what happens? Those things are spoken here. 19 to 30. Please read 19, 20, 21.
Text 19. At death, he sees the messengers of the Lord of Death come before him, their eyes full of wrath, and in great fear he passes stool and urine. Text 20. As a criminal is arrested for punishment by the constables of the state, a person engaged in criminal sense gratification is similarly arrested by the Yamdutas, who bind him by the neck with strong rope and cover his subtle body so that he may undergo severe punishment. Text 21. While carried by the constables of Yamraj, he is overwhelmed and trembles in their hands. While passing on the road, he is bitten by dogs, and he can remember the sinful activities of his life. He is thus terribly distressed.
Thank you. So this post-death. So during the death, it's like an observation which is made by many doctors and people also, that generally people pass stool and urine. And the reason is that they see Yamraj and Yamdutas. So seeing Yamraj and Yamdutas, person becomes so much overwhelmed that I'm going to die. and one can't escape. So in fear, person passes stool and urine. Also, according to Garun Purana and other Puranas, person is supposed to leave from one of the 9 holes. So people who are very much attached to sense gratification, generally they lose their bodies or they come out from lower 2 holes. Other people who are little fortunate, who are spiritual minded, who are going to get a human body, they generally live from the upper holes, nose, mouth, eyes, ears. Some yogis, they break the head and go out, go into Brahman, etc. But that is considered like a good birth. But people who are very sinful, generally they leave their soul or this body through lower 2 holes. So they pass stool and urine. And then they are arrested. So they're arrested. So who is arrested? Soul is arrested. So what do you think? Who is arrested?
Soul with subtle bodies.
Yeah, subtle body is arrested. Soul cannot be arrested. Because soul is spiritual. All the ropes of this world, they are material. And that is why soul cannot be arrested. Who can be arrested? Only subtle body is arrested. And then the subtle body is given another body called Yatna Sarir, in which the one can get sufferings, but not death. So that's called Yatna Sarir. So person is caught by that rope. So his subtle body is arrested. And then one is ready to be punished. So Yamraj, constables of Yamraj catch him. He's overwhelmed, trembles. And Yamdutas also have some dogs with him. So some devotees who saw Yamdutas before becoming devotees, so they narrated they saw these dogs also. So that devotee called Srivas Prabhu, he's one of the Bhakti Shastri Bhakti Vaibhava teachers in Mayapur Institute. So very often, at least 4, 5, 6 times I heard his personal story from him. So he was like a Christian, as far as I know, in Africa. And he was very accustomed to drinking. So one day he drank so much that he was there in his room with his friends, and he became uncontrolled. It's like start beating people and etc. So his friends took him and kept him in a room, locked him, not locked, but just closed the door and went away. And at that time, he saw these 3 people, Yamdutas, along with these dogs. So he became so fearful, he was crying for his friends, but nobody was hearing. So he came out of his room, and then he fell off from his first floor, and he broke his bone. But these people were not visible, at least. So after going through treatment, when he became okay again, he came out of the hospital and he saw this book, Second Chance, in which there is photograph of Ajamila taken away by Yamraj, so Yamdutas. And then he was telling, I have seen them, I have seen them. And devotees were wondering, okay, they told, okay, take the book. And he read the whole book in one day, Second Chance, because he had the realization of Yamdutas. And same day evening, he shaved his head, as you saw in the photographs, and he joined the temple full time. So this was like preaching my Yamdutas. So he was narrating. So these dogs are there, they bite a person, and at that time, person remembers his sinful activities which he has committed throughout the whole. Please read 22, 23, 24. The description on the way to hell.
Text 22 translation. Under the scorching sun, the criminal has to pass through roads of hot sand with forest fire on both sides. He is whipped on the back by the constable because of inability to walk, and is afflicted by hunger and thirst. But unfortunately, there is no drinking water, no shelter, and no place for rest on the road. Text 23 translation. While passing on that road on to the abode of Yamraj, he falls down in the fatigue, and sometimes he becomes unconscious, but he is forced to rise again. In this way, he is very quickly brought to the presence of Yamraj. Text 24. Thus, he has to pass 99,000 yojans within 2 or 3 movements, and then he is at once engaged in the torturous punishment which is destined to suffer.
Thank you. So this is something which happens on the way. So there is sun from the top, forest fires in both sides of the roads. So much, and the sand through which he has to run. Now those who have gone through the sea beaches in the summer season, so they realize it's so difficult practically. Now the legs get bruised because of hot sand, and person has to walk, and then he feels thirsty. Now in Garan Puran, my mother used to read a lot. She would tell me in my childhood that generally Yamdutas ask, did you give some water in charity in your whole life? And if a person has given charity, then he gets water. If he doesn't give that charity, one doesn't get water. So then person feels very thirsty, but there is nothing to drink. So he becomes furthermore fatigued. His legs start going in discordant way. He's not able to walk. He's afflicted by hunger and thirst. And sometimes he falls down. And because there is no shelter, no place to rest, there are no trees, all trees are burning trees, one has to continue walking. And many of the customs in Vedic culture are designed accordingly. So among the three Vaishnavas, when somebody dies, generally they give charity according to different days. So they have some customs and they have like different days in which they give charity. When a person is supposed to walk on the hot sand, they give shoes in charity. Because shoes are given in charity here, then this person gets the shoes to walk on the hot sand. Similarly, when there is scorching sun on the top, they give a umbrella on charity. So that if one gives charity of umbrella here, person gets an umbrella to tolerate the scorching sun. Similarly, when water is given in charity, then one gets water to drink. So that is how, according to one's sins or piety, one gets certain things or doesn't get certain things. And when a person being fatigued faints, Yamdutas beat him. And then a person suddenly gets up and he's again forced to run. Yes, Arvind Janpu has some question. Okay. So then this person, he has to run. Now the amazing thing which is given 24th is that he passes 99,000 yojanas. 1,000 yojana is 8 miles. And that into just 2 or 3 moments. If person has to run so much, how can there be any torture? It's like a torture for 2-3 moments. So this is theory of relativity. This comes in picture. So as you have already read in your 3rd canto, the calculation of time through atom, etc., all other chapters, how there are different calculation of time in different places. So because Samyami, which is below hell. Sorry, below lower planetary system.
0, 3, 2, 4, 6, 5, 4.
So below lower planetary system, the speed of time is very fast there. That means 2 or 3 moments here is a long time in lower planetary system. And because these hellish planets are located much more below them, so according to us, only 2-3 moments pass. But for that person, it's like a long time. He has to run so much and walk so much, and then he reaches. So for him, it's like a long time. And for us, it is just like 2 or 3 minutes. So that's like how person is tortured. And he thinks after reaching destination, things will be all right. But then comes Yamraj in front of him, who gives him punishments for all his sins. Yeah. Now we'll read okay. We'll read 25, 26, 2 verses.
He is placed in the midst of burning pieces of wood, and his limbs are set on fire. In some cases, he is made to eat his own flesh, or heaven have eaten have it eaten by others. Text 26. The entrails are pulled out of the horns and vultures of the hell, even though he is still alive to see it, and he is subjected to torment by serpents, scorpions, chains, and other creatures that bite him.
Yeah. So these are various different hells where different punishments are given. So you'll get all other details in 5th canto, for the end of 5th canto. So a person, sometimes he is sent and put in fire. So fire is, there are pieces of burning wood and his limbs are set on fire. Person who has eaten flesh, he is told to eat his own flesh, or others eat his flesh. So now the question comes, why such extreme sufferings are there? Somebody would like to answer.
Prabhuji, for reformation,
Yeah. Reformation of what? Or you can say in particular what sort of mentality is reformed here? For example, person has to eat his own flesh. By that, what will be reformed?
his enjoying mentality,
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir. Rai Raman.
Meeting eater tendency, that will be reformed.
So a person, sometimes he eats the meat here and thinks, no, oh, what is so wrong about it, and people have all sort of arguments. Anyway, we are eating no plants and trees, no, why, what is wrong in eating the animals? And person sometimes doesn't hear his intellect also when person is excessively enamored by taste. So such a person, when he's told to eat his own flesh, person understand the pain. Because when it's others' flesh, you don't mind enjoying it. Anyway, everybody has to die, So what is wrong in that? But when a person is supposed to eat his own flesh, then one understands. This taste is for at the cost of somebody's pain, so much of pain. And a person refrains from eating his own flesh. Sometimes Yamdutas beat him and force him, and still he doesn't agree, then other people eat his flesh. And then one understands what is the pain which other has to undergo to satisfy my tongue. So that is the reformation of the tendency. So sometimes people don't mind giving troubles to others if it is satisfying their own sense gratification. So that is why when these punishments are given, person understands the pain of others. But devotees don't have to undergo such a suffering because devotees already understand the suffering of others. That's why what is told for devotees, who's a Vaishnava?
पर दुखी दुखी
Ah, thank you. Hari Prabhu said, Paradukha Dukhi. You know that. So Paradukha Dukhi. So devotee, when he sees other suffering, he can feel that suffering. And that is the reason devotee doesn't want to give pain to anyone else. So to the degree a person is evolved, to the degree person understands the pain of others. What is a remarkable example for that in sixth canto? Sorry, fifth canto, not sixth canto, fifth canto. A person who was very sensitive to the pain of others.
भारत महाराज रहूंगा
Jal Bharat.
जड़
Jal Bharat, why was he moving palanquin
and
here and there? Hands.
don't want to
Yeah. Thank you. So he was not like, he didn't wanted to step over any ant and cause them pain. And that is why he was like moving here and there. He was not able to move the palanquin. But for other fellows, three fellows, no problem. No, just keep on doing hoo and keep on continuing and carrying the palanquin. And the reason is Brahmanas are more evolved. Those are true Brahmanas. Why? How they are evolved? Because they have a higher consciousness. They can feel the pain of others. But a devotee is supposed to be more evolved than a Brahmana. So devotee doesn't even think of giving pain to others even in the dreams. So devotee doesn't want to give pain to others. He becomes very, very sensitive. Very sensitive not to give pain to others. That's why when unqualified people sit in the position of Brahmana, then there is disruption in the society. So in so-called caste system, what had happened is, so-called Brahmanas had occupied the position of Brahmanas. And according to Padma Puranas, some of the Rakshasas also appeared in the families of Brahmanas, just to disrupt the social order in the Kali Yuga. So then they start mistreating and giving pain to other people. When other people get pain from them, then it's like there is a revolution and the whole deformed way of Varnasana system is broken off. And then people start saying, no, this and no, Vedic culture is this and that, and so many people are criticizing nowadays. But the point is, Brahman means one who's very sensitive. He can't give pain to others. And for people who don't have that consciousness, training is given by Yamdutas. So they nicely give them super treatment in the health, and then people become evolved in their consciousness. Similarly, person is put in the not soft bed, hard bed. One is bound there, and the vultures, herons, they come and they pull off his intestines. So whatever way one has treated others, one is also treated in that same way. And then one is sometimes put in some hells where scorpions, gnats, other creatures, they bite him. He can't live comfortably. It's difficult to tolerate sometimes one mosquito, but so many creatures come and trouble him. Is it 27, 28?
Text 27. Next, his limbs are lopped off and torn asunder by elephants. He is hurled down from hilltops, and he is also held captive, either in water or in a cave. Text 28. Men and women who live are built upon indulgence in illicit sex life are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in the hells known as the Misra, Antamisra, and
Gaura. So a person, sometimes in certain hells, elephants, they come and they tear him apart. Sometimes person is thrown from hilltops. Sometimes people are held captive in water. It's like there's water there in the cave and you can't come out of it. It's like, no, stay there only. And people who indulge in illicit sex, so then person has to suffer in hells like Tamisra and the Tamisra and Daurava. And the whole point is to train the consciousness to not enjoy at the cost of others' misery. Okay, now I have an argument which you have to defeat me. Some people say, okay, fine. As far as meat eating is concerned, we give suffering to others, so it is a sin. But what is wrong if we are having illicit sex or we are taking intoxication? Then it is our own body, we can use it the way we want. So what is wrong in that, and why it is called such a sin? Why it is considered as any sinful activity at all? Yes,
Hare Krishna, please. Prabhuji, when we drink alcohol, then we'll become mad and we'll do wrong thing. Then probably the same thing will happen. We'll eat
No,
meat
but
also and we'll do everything. When we will in means we'll go nothing with दूध, then we'll do all the wrong thing also, Prabhuji.
no, but I drink and I just lock myself in the room. I don't create trouble for anyone. Nobody even doesn't even realizes that no, I have drank alcohol.
Then Prabhuji, it's called Atma. We are killing ourselves, Prabhuji.
So
We
it's
are
my
killing.
body, no. I can use it anyway. I want to nourish it by alcohol. I will nourish it by alcohol. Or harm it by alcohol also. It's okay. My body, I can treat the way I want.
We are harming ourselves, so it is Atma, Prabhuji. We will forget Krishna and we will move in the cycle of birth and death. So it is bad for ourselves also.
See, Krishna is like, no, he's not a good person. It's like I came here to forget him only. Now, why he's torturing me if I'm forgetting him?
सही बात है Prabhuji.
तुम only got convinced. Hare Krishna. Some other picture, somebody would like to counter what I was speaking.
In superiority, everything is the property of Lord. So we are harming his body actually. The body is not of the self; it is of the Lord Krishna's body. So we are harming his body. We can say in superior language.
Thank you. So I was looking for this answer only. So the point is, we are not the owners of this body. We are just a tenants of the body. And being tenants of the body, it's like when I'm an owner, I can do anything with the house. No problem. But when I'm a tenant of the house, I have to deal with the house as per conditions put by the owner. And some places, owners are like so much attached to the house. If they hear a nail being put, immediately they come running. How can you put a nail in the house without my permission? So similarly, Lord has given us this body, mind, society, and we can use them for our enjoyment, but according to certain rules and regulations as given by the Supreme Lord himself. So what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink, what not to drink, all these things are given in each and every body. Now somebody may say, what about my desires? I have desires and Krishna is not fulfilling my desires. Yes, you have different bodies for fulfilling certain set of desires. For example, somebody wants to drink liquor and not become sick. then one can go to Bill Sorgas, which will be explained in the 5th canto. So you can drink liquor there and yet get strength of hundreds of elephants. But human body is not meant for that. So we are given certain sort of houses in form of different bodies, which allow certain things and doesn't allow certain things. And if you cross over that boundary, then the punishment is given to just show or tell us, this is, you're crossing the boundary. So, and that is why you find Lord gives warnings even to the people who don't read the scriptures. Like, what is immediate response of people who drink liquor for the first time? I didn't drink it, but I heard from yes.
Vomiting. That's it.
People get vomiting, and body also responds in a perverted way to show that this body is not meant for consumption of alcohol. So that is how Lord has given enjoyment, but under certain situations or under certain circumstances. Like along with every machine, there comes a guide how to run that machine. Similarly, for everybody, certain things are allowed, certain things are not allowed. So that is how you can drink grape juice, but not the fermented grape juice in form of liquor. That is not allowed. Certain things are allowed. And same thing is true for illicit sex also. So in a gross way, actually speaking, it affects even the society. But despite that, the person may think, oh, society is only whole corrupted, what is problem? So certain things are not allowed. They're not allowed because we are living in a house which is given by Krishna in the form of this body. Thank you. So after talking about sufferings, now Lord Kapil Dev is narrating his own Priya Satyabhama Mata has written, it affects the consciousness negatively. It covers the consciousness. And now Lord Kapila starts showing the examples in this world itself. Please read 29 and 30.
Text 29. Lord Kapila continued, My dear mother, it is sometimes said that we experience hell or heaven on this planet, for hellish punishments are sometimes visible on this planet also. Text 30. After leaving this body, the man who maintains himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffers also. Text. Okay.
So we find in this world also sometimes there are certain places where person is deprived of even basic necessities of life. They don't have sufficient food to eat, or they live in such a dirty, filthy places. Practically speaking, nobody would imagine to go to such a place or go near that place. So in this world also, we see people sometimes suffering so much. I remember one, I'll not tell his name. Of course, this devotee told his own story to me. So he was a Gujarati, but then he was staying in one of the African countries. And his father was like a big lawyer in that country. But because Gujaratis were making a lot of money, and in a way, these Africans were getting exploited because in their country they didn't had a culture of cooking. So both husband and wife would go out to work and they would eat in the hotels of these Gujaratis, and the food would be very expensive. So because of change in the governments very frequently, some terrorist government came there and then they drove off all the Gujaratis. So these people came back to India, and then his father had a plan to go to London. So he booked the ticket for him and his pregnant mother. Mother was also pregnant. And father told, I'll pick you in London. But somehow his father was put in jail in that country only. His release was delayed for 1 week. And his mother was requesting the custom officers of India that I'm Indian only, although I took the citizenship of that country. So please don't remove me from this country. But they forced him to go off. So this mother and son, they both went there from here to London. And father was there, but father couldn't meet mother and son. So when he was like just 3-year-old, his younger brother was born during the journey only, right there in the airport. So this poor mother with a small child, this 3-year-old son, she couldn't find her husband in such a costly and cold country like London. So for 3 years, he would eat food from the garbage bin. And because of white-black discrimination, these white people would sometimes come and kick him from the back. That is how he was treated in the West. And then after 3 years, he happened to saw his father in one shop, and father was like in tears. And that is the reason he became so much detached. Initially, he was like a Christian monk for many years, almost 8 years. And then he came across Prabhupada's books and he became like a brahmachari in London temple. So he was narrating his story. So that is how sometimes in this world, life is so hellish. Person are forced to eat from garbage bin or stay in such unclean places. Sometimes exploited by so many men. So many people come and just exploit them. Oh, this devotee he was just kicked by people around, like people would treat a football. So in this world also, these hellish punishments are sometimes visible. So it's not that now these things are imaginary. To leave of that world, he was so Kapil Dev says, in this world itself, we can see such a hellish life, such a hellish life. Somebody has some remarkable story. I know you may be having many. Something to narrate. Somebody would like to narrate. Something you have seen around. Okay. You don't know to say. Please read 31, 32.
Text 31. He goes alone to the darkest regions of hell after quitting the present body, and the money he acquired by envying other living entities is the passage money with which he leaves this world. Text 32. Thus, by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of Innsman is put into a hellish condition to suffer for his sinful activities, like a man who has lost his wealth.
Okay. Thank you. So then after again coming to this world, suffering for his past misdeeds, person again commits sin, he's again put in the hell. And that is how one perpetually suffers in this world, life after life after life. Many times we feel that there are so many sufferings in this world, but actually speaking, the sufferings and enjoyments in human life are minimal. They are minimum among all 8.4 million species of life. Why? Because what happens is the big sufferings are given in hell. It's like some criminal is there. he has committed very big crime, very big crime. So in that situation, what will happen is he will put in, let us say, Kalapani, like Andaman Nicobar or some other places, where one will get extreme amount of sufferings. And to the degree one has committed crime, the sufferings even in this world are also greater and greater. For people who are just put in jail where person is not like very big criminal, then sometimes it's like, no, there are temples within the jail. Some of you who know that may be aware, there are sometimes temples within the jail also. So Pujari comes there and there is playground and there are some activities going on there. You can earn some wealth there also, staying in the jail. But for people who are more bigger criminals, they are not allowed to come out only of the rooms. They have to stay in that tiny room. People who are even bigger criminals, they are put separately. And they are like, no, lot of iron rods are put around them. So much more suffering is there. So similarly, according to different types of sin, which are very grievous, one suffers in hell. And after the tenure in the hell is over, then smaller sufferings are given in other lower species, like species of mosquitoes, lizards, different reptiles. And sometimes if we don't see them very closely, we may not realize that there is so much suffering in the lower species. Now you might have observed extreme heat or extreme cold, mosquitoes become absent. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means no, their entire civilization is gone. Here in this world, 200 to 50 people die. It is such a big news. It is considered like no, one of the greatest massacre in the world or something like that. But entire civilization being disappeared. Similarly, when there's extreme heat or extreme cold, their bodies don't function. So almost for 4 or 5 years I stayed in Gosala. Actually speaking, in rainy season, it would become like a pond. So we had all lower species around us. I saw all sort of lower species there. The snakes were regular customers and not lizards and so many snails, so many species were there. Because I saw them very closely, I could see that so much suffering is there within them. So when there is cold season, lizards, their bodies, their blood becomes very thick. So they become like bluish and lizards can't walk. So their body doesn't function the winter season. Similarly, they have so much of fights. So whenever you see a lizard very closely, generally they have some wounds. And eating, sleeping, mating, defending is so difficult for them that for lower species, entire consciousness is just spent in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And for us, human beings, we are not like so insecure while eating. We know puris and sabjis are there in the plate and we can eat them. But that is not true with the lower species. For them, it's like you are trying to eat the puri and somebody comes and snatches from your mouth and eats it up. That happens with the dogs and other lower species. Similarly, sleeping. Animals, when they sleep, they are very worried. They may not be able to get up because somebody may step on them. You see the dogs, some sound and immediately they get up. And the reason is that they are very insecure. Somebody may come and kill them. So sleeping is not like the way we sleep peacefully. Same thing with defending. At least we have military in our countries, police in the local place. We have our locks and houses. We are secure. But for animals, they themselves are insecure. Somebody may kill them. And sometimes their food also, if they want to preserve food for next day, I've personally seen dogs, they dig a hole and they put some food there. Other dogs can immediately sniff and come there and eat it up. So they have to preserve. And same thing is true with mating also. So many male members sometimes have to fight to enjoy sex life. But for human beings, they can just get married and it's like no, have a legal, peaceful married life. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending is made very easy for human beings so that they can focus on a higher principle of spiritual life. But when a person is still engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, defending, then it is made challenging by given a lower body. So when very little bit sufferings are remaining, then one gets a human body. Same thing is true with the enjoyment also. Lot of pious credit go to different levels of Swarga, where one can satisfy all one's desires. Very little piety is remaining, one gets human. And that is the reason human body is considered very conducive for spiritual practices. Not much suffering, not much pain. So it's considered most conducive for spiritual emancipation. Okay, so this is about sufferings. Please read 33 and 34.
Therefore, text 33. Therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black method certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is called known as Andatameshra. Text 34. Having gone through all the miserable and hellish conditions and having passed in a regular order through the lowest form of animal life prior to human birth, and having thus being purged of his sins, one is reborn again as human being on this earth.
So then again, going through different places of hell, Tamasa Padam, and after going through different births like dogs and pigs and experiencing, person is purified of his sin, and then one gets a human body again. So that is how one gets a human body. Now I have one question to all of you. So I don't know whether I can break you into some groups. Breakout groups. We can have some group exercise. So how do you have it? Yeah. So because many devotees, it's like no, they're busy with other things also. What we'll do, we'll just divide into two groups. And what you have to discuss is sometimes certain allegations are there among ISKCON devotees or upon ISKCON devotees. The allegation is that you people are too negative about life. This misery, that misery, that misery, that misery. No, it's like so much negativity is there that no, you don't even talk about no enjoyments of this world. You don't talk about the positive aspects of this world. So somebody gives argument like that, as shown in this chapter also, looks like very negative. So what will you speak to counteract them? So if you can come up with some sort of skit, dialogues between two people or three people or four people, where a devotee is trying to answer their questions. So that would be like a really remarkable. So it's like around 11:40 now. So maybe for another 15 minutes will be enough, na? Or 10 minutes. Ramanantu, what do you suggest? How much time should be there for preparation?
Yes, we 10-15 minutes is okay, but we can have with the after the break. If you allow.
Actually, we will not have class for 3 hours.
Okay.
Mostly we'll have class for only 2 hours.
Okay.
So after this exercise, we will end because we had to just complete this chapter.
Okay.
Okay. So Maybe 10 minutes we can have a preparation, or if you need 15 minutes, we can have 15 minutes also, and then both groups can present, and then we'll end. Okay. So I'll just divide you into two groups. So devotees can just join, and so 11:50 will come back. Yes, Ramanand Prabhu, you can also join.
Uh,
Are you getting some message?
yes, yes. Guruji.
Just join it. Join the group.
Okay.
Or do your back. Yeah. Okay, so you can present for 5 minutes, beginning with a group of Rai Ramanand to Arvind Charan to. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Arvind Charan Prabhu first will tell the allegation, and I will counteract that allegation. Yes, Arvind Charan. You are muted, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Arvind Charan Prabhu.
First allegation is that you always think be first allegation that we want to enjoy, eat, marry, live happy.
Okay, this type of allegation, like the and also some negativity allegation is that some you are spreading the all the negativity in your life. For it, we have various points that we are not telling them all the negativity. We are saying them to be to live a regulated life, not the sinful life. In our scriptures, all these things are given. Also, we are showing them the mirror, what are the actual position of the doing the sinful activity are, and we are also telling the art of being happy and the peaceful, lead a peaceful life also. And we are also telling the truth of this material world, that this world is a temporary and the miserable places, so that we told them ultimately to lead a regulated life. And also from the scripture we understand that we are the soul, not the body, and what are the diet of the soul, how this soul can be happy. So all for this the regulations are given. And also there are two type of people, the materialist and the spiritualist. The materialist has have the experience of all the material nature, but the spiritual have the experience of the material world also and the spiritual world also. So they have preferred to remain in the spiritual life, and so that spiritually things to act upon, so that they lead some regulated life. So ultimately we are saying that we are not spreading the negativity, but we are telling them to lead a regulated life, so that we can achieve the good result after this life also. Thank you, Hare Krishna. This was the presentation we have prepared.
We'll have to appreciate the group by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. So one point they made is that we are talking about reality, not imagination. And also we have positive aspect of spiritual life also. And how you can be happy, peaceful, etc. Thank you. Yes, Amarin Hare Cruz group. Yeah, long discussion.
Yeah, just trying to see. So, Prabhuji, just in the society, people put allegation on us that so we are putting sorry, I am putting allegation and Rukmini Mataji will give answer. Okay, Mataji, ठीक है?
Yes, Prabhu, I'll try to. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Mataji. So, you may speak in Hindi because
Sorry,
everyone
Prabhu?
Fully allowed, yes.
Okay, thank you. तो कई लोग जैसे कि प्रीचिंग करते हैं तो समाज में कहते हैं कि तुम लोग एक नंबर के डरपोक हो, बांग्लादेश में अटैक हो, कुछ भी नहीं, बस शांति 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 करते रहते हो, हाथ बंद करके मुंह बंद करके बैठे रहते हो। तो ये क्या है ये सब? घर में चूड़ियां पहन के बैठ जाओ सब लोग, ये बस हरे कृष्णा भजते रहते हो, कोई आके गर्दन काट के चला जाए। तो इसलिए
ऐसे नहीं, it's not like that. We actually believe कि we have faith in Krishna and we believe कि अगर ऐसा कुछ होता भी है and हम peacefully like इसके against जो भी था वो peacefully जो कर सकते थे we did, and rest we believe कि जो कृष्णा करेंगे that will be the best for us, and डरपोक नहीं है कि शास्त्र कहते हैं कि अगर हम उसका जो काउंटरैक्ट करते हैं एंगर से करते हैं, अगर उन्होंने ऐसे किया है तो एंगर तो दैट विल लीड अस टूवर्ड्स हेल। तो इसीलिए हम जो है वो ईंट का जवाब पत्थर वाला वो नहीं करते हैं, एंड दैट इज व्हाई वी आर नॉट डरपोक, बट वी बिलीव के whatever is written in our shastras we must follow that. Krishna will do the best for us. And प्रभु सेकंड एलिगेशन का ये भी था दैट हाँ यस कि यू brain wash the people. So yes, कि हम brain wash करते हैं, but we only wash the dirt in the brain. जो brain में dirt आ गया है, we wash that. And और ये भी कहा जाता है कि कर्मा, अमरिंद्र प्रभु, you would like to add something?
माता जी मैं तो एक एक करके भी क्वेश्चन करने वाला, ब्रेन वॉश तक करने वाला था, आप आंसर दे रहे हैं।
Okay, sorry प्रभु, my answer was done early, इसीलिए मैंने क्वेश्चन आपका ही छेड़ दिया। थर्ड एलिगेशन प्लीज प्रभु, गो अहेड।
सेकंड, आप लोग कहते हो मीट मुर्गा नहीं खाना, ये सब तो घास फूस खाकर काम चला है, डराते रहते इतने सारे मुर्गे हम नहीं खाएंगे, बढ़ जाएंगे, कौन उनकी जनसंख्या को कम करेगा? इसके चलते हम लोग खाते रहते हैं उनको, ताकि जनसंख्या कम रहे, बैलेंस रहे, घास फूस खाओ, यही सब डराते रहते हो आप लोग, ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा।
तो प्रभु ह्यूमन फॉर्म जो है, मतलब जो हम इंसान हैं, उनका भी तो वो भी तो इतना संख्या में बढ़ते हैं, और वो खुद ब खुद एक सिस्टम है बाय सुप्रीम लॉर्ड कि जो बढ़ रहा है वो खुद ब खुद खत्म भी हो जाता है, सुनामी और ये सब कुछ आता है, फ्लड्स एंड ऑल। तो हमें जो है वी मस्ट कीप दिस थिंग्स ऑन सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, हमें अपनी तरफ से जो है वो उनको काट के खाने के लिए नहीं कहा गया है। एंड आवर शास्त्र जो है वो स्ट्रिक्टली 4 चीजों के लिए जो मना करते हैं, the 4 pillars, that is no meat eating, no illicit sex, no
इंटॉक्सिकेशन,
no intoxication, and
गैम्बलिंग।
yes, so we just follow that, and इसीलिए जो है वो हम we believe कि जो कुछ भी खाना है we must offer it to supreme lord first and then we take it, and vegetables, और उससे जो हमें हमारे शरीर को न्यूट्रिशन मिल जाते हैं, वी डोंट नीड, क्योंकि जैसे प्रभु जी ने भी बताया था कि हर स्पेशीज का जो है वो एक डिफरेंट दिया हुआ है कि जो मीट ईटिंग है दैट इज नॉट फॉर दिस ह्यूमन फॉर्म, दैट इज फॉर सम अदर स्पेशीज। तो इसीलिए दैट इज ऑलरेडी रिटन इन आवर शास्त्रस।
यस माता जी।
निमोनी कर दे एक बारी।
क्या हुआ?
Nothing. Priya Mataji, want to add something? No.
Yes, Mataji, yes. I wanted to only add here that, Krishna says that whoever comes to this world, he will be taken care of. So we don't need to worry about anybody's population anyhow.
Yes.
ओके, नेक्स्ट थर्ड करो।
Yes, Prabhu.
यस, तो कई लोग कहते हैं कि आप लोग ये हर दूसरे दिन आपका व्रत ही होता रहता है, कभी एकादशी है, द्वादशी है, चतुर्मास है, ये मास है, वो मास है, जन्माष्टमी है, दिन भर व्रत ही करते रहो, कुछ खाओ पियो नहीं, तो ऐसे ही शरीर खराब हो जाएगा। तो ये क्या है, हर दूसरे दिन व्रत का दिन चलता रहता है?
To detox our body, क्योंकि अगर ऑल द टाइम खाते ही रहेंगे तो हमें ही जो हमारी बॉडी है उसी कोई प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, तो इसीलिए फास्टिंग इज ऑल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
ठीक ही है। और एक और एलिगेशन और आ सकता है कि जैसे हम लोग यूथ प्रीचिंग करते हैं, कई बच्चे कहते हैं कि जैसे कि आप लोग ये मना करते हो गर्लफ्रेंड बॉयफ्रेंड मत बनाओ, दुनिया इसी के लिए, बताइए मूवी मत जाओगा, ये सब मत बनाओ, इनसिक से मत करो, इसमें दिक्कत क्या है? ये सब करना चाहिए, तो आज के समाज में इसको प्रमोट किया जा रहा है, इसमें गलती क्या है? डरा डरा के जिलाते हो, मतलब हम जिए नहीं, कुछ खुल के कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं जीवन में।
प्रभु इसका जो आंसर है वो आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट द आंसर, बट यस, क्योंकि पोल्यूटेड प्रोजेनी जो है वो बढ़ती है इन दिस वर्ल्ड जस्ट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस illicit relationships, तो इसी वजह से जो है इसको मना किया जाता है। और अगर इस तरह से वो बढ़ेगी तो फिर यहाँ पर जो लोग हैं वो they will never think about, going back to Godhead. वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसी materialistic चीजों में ही stick रहेंगे if these things happen. तो इसीलिए जो है वो कहा जाता है, हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा जाता है, इसीलिए जो है ये 4 वर्ण आश्रम दिए हुए हैं और उसमें जो है ये गृहस्थ आश्रम दिया हुआ है to have a good progeny, और ताकि जो है वो वर्ल्ड में कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस बढ़े एंड एक अच्छी हेल्दी लाइफ सबको मिले. That's it. And yes, प्रभु, एक और हमारे ग्रुप में शेयर किया था that ISKCON devotees are usually, उन्हें कहा जाता है that सुबह से लेकर रात तक इनके सिर्फ और सिर्फ आरती और मतलब भी जैसे मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम में वही चलता रहता है. वो सुबह सवेरे उठना, मतलब दे डोंट एंजॉय देयर लाइफ. सिर्फ यही होता है, सुबह उठ के मंगला आरती कर ली, फिर इसके बाद भागवतम रीडिंग, जपा एंड दिस एंड दैट. तो ये पूरा दिन इनका इस तरह से चलता रहता है, इसका क्या यूज है? तो हमें प्रभु would you like to add something on it? ये क्यों किया जाता है कि सुबह से शाम तक जो ISKCON devotees are only involved in भक्ति 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 और कुछ भी नहीं कर?
ये मनुष्य का जीवन सिर्फ इसी के लिए मिला होता है. तो जो भी हम अपना जैसे ये भक्ति का कार्य करके फिर वो भी हमें अपना ड्यूटीज भी करना चाहिए. तो ड्यूटीज भी हम करते हैं, सुबह शाम भक्ति ही करते हैं ताकि ये जन्म मृत्यु के चक्र से निकल जाए, क्योंकि मनुष्य जीवन का यही लक्ष्य है. हम इस तरीके से समझा सकते हैं. तो हमें हम ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ ये भक्ति भक्ति दिन भर करते रहते हैं, ड्यूटीज भी हम अपना करते हैं अच्छे तरीके से. जैसे भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर जी या कई सारे और हम एग्जाम्पल दे सकते हैं जो समाज में जो बहुत अच्छे प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं, भक्ति का भी प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं और अपना मटेरियल ड्यूटीज भी अच्छे कर रहे हैं. उनका हम एग्जाम्पल दे के बता सकते हैं, देखिए ये लोग हैं जो कि भक्ति भी अच्छे से कर रहे हैं और अपना ड्यूटीज भी कर रहे हैं. तो ऐसा नहीं हम सिर्फ भक्ति भक्ति सिखाते हैं, अपना जीवन का भी कार्य करते हैं और सब कुछ करके फिर कृष्ण पे ऊपर डिपेंड रहना, क्योंकि हमारा जन्म मृत्यु लाभ हानि यश अपयश फिक्स है, तो उसके अनुसार ही मिलेगा. तो इसके बारे में ज्यादा वरी नहीं करना, अपना ड्यूटी करना और भगवान की सेवा भी करते रहना. बाकी प्रभु जी वो करेंगे.
And we call it simple living, high thinking. Okay, Prabhu. That's all from our side.
Thank you, Prabhu. आप तो ये बताइए कुछ गलती सही.
We'd like to appreciate this group by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. So devotees made very nice points. I'll just add some points. Like one allegation is that, which was the prime allegation, that devotees just talk about negativity. But if we see, do devotees really suffer? Like now, I don't know whether I ask the same question to all of you. How many of you ate more varieties of food after coming in ISKCON than before coming in ISKCON? Please raise your hand. कितना वैरायटी का? Right? जिसका नाम सुना नहीं था वो भी खाया.
Yes, yes.
First time I heard naam lasagna. I thought no, it is some city name. Then I saw no, some lasagna is there. I never heard the name. So many things. And still devotees, people say, oh, devotees are suffering. How many of you visited more or traveled more after coming in ISKCON than before coming in ISKCON? Moving around and traveling here and there. तो नाम के वो यात्रा के नाम पे going here, going there, so many places. And some devotees go in very amazing place. Like I saw one devotee, he went to Simla. I told her, Simla में कौन सा holy place है? बोले मनु महाराज का मंदिर है. And then I saw and photograph one more holy place. ये holy place का वो नेहरू झरना है. नेहरू जी ने हाथ धोया था यहाँ. Anyway, so devotees go and chant and dance and they travel so much. So especially for devotees who are in India, India is filled with holy places. They travel so much. It's like I've gone practically nook and corner of whole of country, from Kerala till Kashmir, everywhere. So, and still devotees, we are suffering. Yes. You have some point, Lakshmi Mata?
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, I want to add that, like as I'm from Pakistan, so we never heard about, that we never imagined that any of us will travel to Mayapur or Jagannath Puri. Like the devotees knows about these places, but many of our relatives, they don't know. So whenever somebody's visa came and they are visiting that place, so they're like, where is this place? Mayapur, and like you're going to West Bengal, you're going to Orissa. They never imagined the families who are living in Pakistan. So when they come to know that their devotees are going to these places, oh my God, they are so far. These places are so far. How you go? And so, of course, yes, that being in Krishna consciousness, we get to know about these places and we visit there. So it's like a
Yeah, and
good
there
fortune.
also, if you talk about enjoyment, devotees are expert in enjoying. I know about Puri because when I was in Calcutta for many years. So what I would see in Puri is people would come, go to the seashore, put their feet, see the sunrise, see the sunset, come back. Devotees know nook and corner of Puri. Which place fresh prasad is available, which item is available where. So sometime going here, sometime going there, chanting, dancing, visiting this place, that place, no, taking bath here, taking bath there, such enjoyment. So it's not that devotee's life is full of suffering. Similarly, how many of you danced more after coming in Krishna consciousness than before? Practically every day. People have to pay money and then they sing and dance. So it's not that devotees suffer. That's why when Prabhupada was asked by someone saying that, what if you come to know that there's no God? Prabhupada said, still we had so much enjoyment. And if you come to know there was God at the end of your life, what will happen to you? So for devotee don't suffer. They actually speaking, even four relative principles, when we follow four relative principles, there is much more enjoyment. Even materially, we avoid so much of suffering. So even to lead a happy life within this world, what to say of next world, Varnashram system is the best system. So I stay in a place where we have sort of devotional people, but practically everybody follows four relative principles. Like almost 50% of population of this place, they don't take onion garlic also. And I see people enjoy like anything. So there was one Canadian brahmachari, Karna Sindhu. He first time traveled in Indian train. He said, "You Indians know how to enjoy." He said, "Canadians, you don't have so much of variety of eating here and there. India, you sit in the train, samosa, 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 jalebi, jalebi. No, this is coming, that is coming, this going, this, and whole day people are eating this, eating that, and no nicely enjoying and going." So people may think that no Varnashram system where we follow 40 principle of no illicit sex, no intoxication, we suffer, but we actually enjoy. When you have security that your partner is there with you, it's such a so much of relief is there. So that's why sometimes people think, oh, no illicit sex, no problem. It's a big problem. So point is, even if somebody stays as per Varnashram system, lot of enjoyment is there, even materially, what to say, or spiritually. So that's why for devotees, even materially, there is no loss at all. No loss at all. So we don't talk about negativity. We give positive experiences. So devotees talk about negativity and enjoy more practically. Outside people talk about a lot of positivity and they suffer more than devotees, even materially. So they just talk about this place, that place, that place, but they don't enjoy so much. Devotees say, hey, this world is place of suffering, and they nicely eat nice prasad. This world is place of suffering. So let us sing and chant and dance and go to Puri and nicely sing and dance for the pleasure of Jagannath in the sea beach and eat nice ice creams and nice prasad. So devotee talk about negative, but they really enjoy. So with this, we'll end here, and tomorrow we'll discuss the next chapter. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanand. Vancha kalpadurvasya, Kripa Sindhu Vaishya, Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavi.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.